Friendly reminder to rate, like, subscribe, and follow Teach Me Good wherever you listen to podcasts. Pretty please. It helps us out a lot. Okay. Now that you've done that, go check out our Patreon where we're trying to save up to talk to Tony Hawk via Cameo. Plus you get lots of perks like a mug and exclusive episodes. Love you. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome to the Teach Me Good podcast with your host, RECONNECTIng. Soon you'll hear from him and his friend Fernando, and later they'll talk to a special guest who will teach them about something. Not everything will be accurate, but hey, we're all just trying our best out here. Yeehaw! Enjoy.
All right, try it one more time.
Hey, everybody.
Okay, that's pretty good. And now we're actually recording. Guys, hey, everybody. This is Torrin DeRosa, and I guess me, Arkai.
Art will not let you get the intro off. I mean, he will. He'll let you say it, but he won't let it be the end-all, be-all. He's got to say, hey, everybody, as well. And
I got it, yeah.
Same on the goodbye. It's like, Fernando try to do it, and then you'll be like, all right, and that's the end of the pod after Fernando said goodbye.
Yeah, I know this, and I think I do it on purpose, and I think you guys have caught on. You guys caught on immediately, so it's pretty funny to me.
I didn't know you were doing it on purpose. I thought it was a compulsion. So.
Well, I think you're right. Actually, it was a compulsion, but I'm trying to say it as if there was some element of self-awareness, so I can not look as bad.
Right.
Is it working? Do I look more cool?
It did. I was like, all right, he's just doing a bad bit. It's not.
Yeah, I'd rather.
It's a compulsion.
Would you rather do a bad bit or like just not be aware and look like an idiot? What's worse?
Yeah, that's a tough question.
I mean, I've been in both situations. I'm telling you, they're about the same. They're not too different.
Yeah, neither one feels good.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of things that don't feel good, Fernando, he was going to join us this morning, and Torn, you don't know about this, but his computer, he doesn't have a charger for his computer, and it's been this whole saga of me being like, hey, do you want me to bring, so I got a new computer. I was like, hey, do you want me to bring my old computer so you can like get ready to record on Saturday? And he's like, no, I'm getting my charger this week. And then like by Thursday, I'm like, hey, did you get your charger? And he's like, no, I actually don't have my charger. And I was like, all right, we have one day to like hand off my computer out because we work together at work. And so I handed him my computer, and we almost forgot to hand it over. It was this whole thing basically. And today, on the day of the recording, I'm calling him out right now because I think it's kind of funny. I call him to see where he's at, and he just texts me saying, oh, hey, sorry, man, I crashed at my friend's place last night. So
yeah,
it's like, why did I give you the computer? And now, thank you, Torrin, for being here. I would have had to do this by myself. And
right, yeah.
The solo intros
honestly,
are not fun.
As a listener, yeah, not as fun and not as fun to listen to.
Have you listened to the one solo intro that I did? I think I did one about the high school debate one.
Maybe.
Not as fun? Are you kidding me?
I don't know. Well, I feel like even though it was a solo intro, like I listened to it to edit it or something. I was like, this is kind of weird.
Yeah, it's just me like complaining. I feel like that's what every podcast by one person just happens to like, end up being. It's just like them being like, blah 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 blah. Life sucks in this way, but anyway, I'm having fun. Blah blah blah. That's my impression of myself.
It's like your new stand-up. It's like free therapy. It's a way to have like a journal, which I think is a good idea. Maybe I should start a solo pod.
No, I need you. We are starting a Twitch stream together.
Right.
I think that'd be kind of fun.
Same pretty much. Because video games are
our therapy,
my addiction, and my therapy. So.
You're playing FIFA right now.
I'm actually just watching the highlights. I can score, but I think it's on like super easy mode, which is not as satisfying.
That's how you get better. But anyway, I mean, we're talking all about this. Here's my segue, and I think it all relates. And despite your behavior, despite Fernando's behavior, you guys are still my pals, all right? And to this day, we'll forever be friends. And why are you squinting? You're wincing.
Yeah, if you can't see me on the video. I wonder what percentage of people watch on the video, but I'm confused. I'm furrowing my brow because I'm trying to figure out before Art says it what we're talking about.
Well, this is a very special episode for me. Special because I'm talking to this person.
Yes.
I didn't tell you. I don't think I told you what it is.
Well, no, but it's on the calendar. I know.
Oh,
we're
really?
talking to Eric. I just don't know what we're talking about.
Good. There's no subject. I think so. I don't think I briefed you. I definitely briefed Fernando.
Maybe not.
But it is Erik Stockler is a friend of mine that I was like, he was my best friend in like kindergarten, perhaps even preschool. He says preschool. I don't even remember. But I remember one day in kindergarten, he was my best friend, and then he just told me straight up, like, hey, I'm actually moving. I'm moving out of this town. I'm leaving this school. He like said this to me in a very eloquent way as a kindergartner. Hey, my dad is relocating his occupation, is what he said to me. I was like, wow, you're very well versed as a kindergartner. And he just left out of nowhere the next day. Didn't even see him ever again. And anyway, fast forward 2021, he somehow finds me on Instagram, follows me, and now we are pals again, weirdly. And he hit me up, and he was like, hey, are you Art from Nebraska? Or something like that. I'm like, yeah, I'm Art from Nebraska. Are you Eric from Nebraska? And he's like, yeah. And he was like, oh, sweet, dude. We used to be like best friends. And I'm like, what? That's you? Like, you're literally like part of my like security questions, you know? Like some security questions for like my accounts. I don't know why I'm telling you guys that, but not all accounts, okay? But he was like, yo, yeah, like let's catch up sometime. I live on the East Coast. And he lives not in New York City. I'm not telling you where, because I'm not a doxer anymore. That's 2021 Art. And I was like, hey, do you want to catch up like via podcast? Like I think it'd be kind of cool. And he was like, yeah, I'm down for that. And here we are. That's what we're gonna catch up on this podcast, and I'm gonna see what he's up to. Yeah, it's kind of a weird episode, huh?
It's pretty exciting. I had a very similar situation like first grade or something, and I actually did go and visit him like that winter. I remember sledding at his house.
Whoa! You like reconnected with a friend, an old friend.
But like my friend who moved in first grade, I went to visit him like in the winter of second grade or something, or maybe even the winter of that year, right? So,
but that's not like 20 years later.
No.
Yeah.
But it's the best that I can do because I don't remember their name.
Yeah.
Really any defining details about them. So
you don't know anything. That's so
unless
funny.
they find me, because my name is a lot easier to look up than anybody's name. Like if you look up Torin, like you got a 50-50 chance of finding me. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. Except for that, perhaps that one Brazilian graffiti artist that people may just be going to that person instead of you.
Brazilian? I thought he was like Polish.
I think you told me Brazilian, or maybe I don't remember. But
anyway,
either way.
So for people who don't know, there's a guy on Instagram named Angel Torin, and literally all he does is graffiti.
Yeah.
Torin in like different fonts.
Right.
Which is pretty awesome if your name is Torin. So, and the artwork is solid as well, I think.
Yeah, it ain't bad.
Unbiased opinion.
Well, I mean, you are biased because your name is Torin, so.
Right, but I just turned off all of my biases.
You can just do that? Yeah. You're able to do that? That's so sick. I'm so jealous of you.
Yeah.
For this podcast. Yeah, I'm excited to talk to him. I think it'll be interesting. He is I actually tried looking him up a few times in the past, but I got his last name wrong because I thought it was Thompson, but I realized that was another friend of mine who I was like combining them two, who also moved away.
Right.
I was combining their names, and then I realized, oh no, it is definitely Erik Stockler. Yeah. So that's cool. We should probably talk to him.
Yeah, let's bring him on.
Yeah? Are you excited to chat? It's going to be you mainly asking. You're going to mediate us two, like a couples therapist.
Is that the plan? I was
yeah, you have your questions prepared, right?
Yeah. and look, we called all of your best friends to talk about you on the podcast. That's a bit. I don't know when this is going to get released in relation to the Patreon episode. That is also a free Patreon episode where Art ambushed Fernando and me with quotes from our closest friends and family.
That's not going to be free to most people. It's going to be free to the people who helped out. So,
wait, yeah. Oh, okay. I thought, okay. There's a year-end review Patreon.
That's free
to everyone.
Right.
All right.
That's a little taste of what we get into.
Art is an advertisement. That's and if we release this next Sunday, that's your Super Bowl ad.
Yeah, I love it.
Cool.
But we'll see. We need to gear up. We're a little behind on recording, but we're doing it. We're gearing up.
The only way to do it is to record.
That's true. All right. Well, enjoy this. Hell yeah. We love content. Can't get enough content.
All right. Well, enjoy this episode with Art's old friend, ERIK Thompson, Stockler. I know. I did that on purpose. See?
Yeah, I know. I'm never letting you sign off ever again. That was terrible.
It was bad. I can see why you
I take the reins.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, enjoy. Yeah, stop, dude. Okay.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right. Thank you, Zoom, for letting us know. ERIK, good to see you, dude. We're live now. I don't have an intro for you because, again, this is not your typical episode. But it's good to see you. You do look just as I remember, but older, which I think that's how aging works, which is cool. I don't even know where to start. I mean, I gave our listeners a little bit of an intro about you. I'm like, this dude that has been weirdly just in my mind as like a good, like probably my first good friend back in the day. And you are also your name is the answer of many of my security questions on many accounts. Like, who's your first childhood friend or best childhood friend?
Yeah.
So that's fun. You don't have to reciprocate. I just know that that is the reality of that. What else? What more context do I have before we get into what you've been up to? Yeah, I think I've talked about you in therapy, not in terms of like, this sounds like I'm like dependent on you and like, but it's more just like the idea of like abandonment, because I do feel like you just disappeared. You're the first person I was just like, they're just gone. Yeah, and I have this weird complex of people just leaving. But this is nice. This is nice that you've gone back in touch. So what's up? What happened to you? Where did you go?
Yeah, I definitely have very similar memories of that period of time. Like, I feel like I remember even like going over to your house at some point in time and watching Power Rangers or something like that. At the time period. Yeah, we ended up just like, my dad got a job in Kansas City and we just all packed up and moved after that. And I feel like it was probably preschool or something. So I didn't really have
kindergarten, preschool. Yeah,
it was
very
one
young.
of those first years, and I definitely remember like being in the car, looking in the rear window of the car, and just like seeing all these people and friends and stuff that I'm just leaving.
Like just going,
about it.
Damn, that's.
But yeah, it's definitely
a core memory.
Yeah, I definitely remember it. My brother, he's just a couple years younger than me. He doesn't remember basically anything about Omaha for the most part. But,
do you ever go back? Have you ever been back since you moved?
I might have been back maybe just for like a long weekend or something. But
you have family there?
No, we don't have any family there. So like we just ended up moving to Omaha from Denver, Colorado.
Whoa.
Because I was born in Denver and my brother was born there, and we lived there for maybe 4 or 5 years, and then moved to Omaha.
Cool.
And then I think we were in Omaha for 2 years, maybe 2 or 3 years. I can't remember how long it was now.
What does your dad do? Just move a lot.
He works for a Danish furniture company. So
really?
My dad, he moved to the United States from Denmark when he was 22, 23. something around that age.
An immigrant. I didn't know that. That's so cool.
He's still holding his green card and isn't a citizen yet. It's only been 30 years or whatever.
Damn.
I think now he's like lived in the United States longer than he's lived in Denmark.
Yeah.
So he definitely feels like he's American more than Danish.
Damn, dude. That's risky for you to say. Our main listener base is ICE. So protect your dad at all costs. You might get deported. We won't dox him. I won't give any names out, but that's wild. I didn't know he's a Danish furniture maker. That's so cool. He still does that? Is he still doing that?
He works for an outdoor furniture company now that's also kind of based in Denmark. And so he kind of travels around the United States, goes to different architecture firms, design firms, and just tries to like get contracts signed for specific projects and stuff like that.
Damn. That's cool.
Yeah, so he's still in the Danish furniture world.
Yeah.
For this whole period of time.
And to bring it back to you, I've stalked your Instagram a little bit, not too much, but you seem to be a furniture guy as well, or like a design dude. What are you up to nowadays?
Yeah, so I've kind of through school just really appreciated a lot of the design aspects and architecture stuff. I started doing like CAD classes and AutoCAD classes and things like that back in, I think, middle school at some point in time. We had like a wood shop program and I was able to sit and monkey around and then get on a computer and try to do some design work too. I just really liked the whole aspect of being able to
just make stuff,
visually figure out all of the steps, but then physically kind of see what are the ramifications of all the designs that you've done on the computer.
Right.
And so I definitely liked all that and stuck with AutoCAD classes throughout all of high school. And then after that went to a community college there in Kansas City called JUCO, and they had like a pretty good architecture program that transferred into other universities, specifically KU and K-State.
Cool.
And so after that, I made a good friend there at JUCO, and we both transferred over to KU and ended up starting architecture school there. And so I've been kind of doing architecture and design for the past probably at least 10 or 15 years now.
Damn, dude.
And like a lot of it too was just really liking woodworking and getting into actually building prototypes and doing metal work. So at KU we had a pretty good design build program where we basically just had this giant warehouse full of every single tool you could think of, and would just come up with prototypes and start building stuff. And it was a lot of fun.
What class were you at KU in architecture? Because I have some friends who did that as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Were you 2015?
Yeah,
technically.
What's that?
Were you 2015, or I guess you started later, so you may have been later? Like
I started later. And when I transferred, they also didn't accept my year at community college. So
fucking state schools, I swear to God.
Yeah. They're like, you gave money to another school? Okay, we need that first year's worth of money.
Yeah, what the heck?
And so I basically restarted the whole program when I transferred to KU.
Yeah.
And then I was there for 6 years to get my master's from there, and ended up spending a year studying abroad and working in Paris during that period of time too.
You've had a life. This is crazy.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I've just been trying to like find random opportunities to like
build,
take advantage of.
Yeah.
and just like go ahead and do it.
This is fun. This is so interesting because it's like in my mind, like I'm like, okay, that Eric dude still just a kid hanging out, and it's just like, oh yeah, no, they've lived a whole life, and I just like, you just completely forget about that sometimes, and you're just like, whoa, you did that? That's so random and fun, and you're just like doing it. Also, it sounds like the move was a good thing for you. I don't think any of the schools I went to had any sort of architecture class in Omaha, so you've been screwed in a way. Yeah, you've been stuck in the Nebraskan nothingness, I suppose. Which is wild, but that's fun. And you're in New Hampshire now. How did you end up there?
I was working at an architecture firm in downtown Kansas City for a few years, and it was kind of a very typical architecture firm. So you were a little bit disconnected from all the different trades and all the different consultants that you're working with, and are isolated from those things. And the whole all of the stuff that I did during school was just like very integrated, like thinking about structural engineering or mechanical engineering and interacting with all these different disciplines. And that was something that I really appreciated about it.
So cool.
So working for kind of a purely architecture firm, it ended up being a little disinteresting to me, just because I didn't have that constant stimuli from all these other disciplines kind of putting me in check. And just started researching different design build firms and design build companies in the United States, and specifically with looking for some type of basis in like woodworking or timber frame construction or something like that. Whoa. And so I kind of randomly found this company called Benson Wood that's up here in New Hampshire, and they do prefabricated design and design build program, and a lot of timber construction, and we're traditionally timber framers it's been around for 40 years, this company. And so I ended up just finding them on. I'm like, okay, just like apply to a bunch of stuff. So I applied to probably 10, 15 different design build firms, like all throughout the United States, like in Idaho and Montana and California and Texas and all these places.
Right. You're down to go anywhere as long as you can just build stuff.
Yeah, I was ready to just like try something new.
Wow.
And ended up getting the opportunity to move up here. And I had a handful of interviews before all this COVID stuff happened.
Sure.
And then COVID hit, and they're like, yeah, well, we're postponing interviews for a little while. And so like a few months went by.
Yeah.
And then ended up getting a call back and like, well, if you want to start working remotely, and
nice,
like, go ahead.
Post up.
So I was working remotely in Kansas City, and that's when like all this quarantining was happening. So I was basically just locked up in my apartment in downtown Kansas City for a whole year and working remotely, and then finally moved up here. It'll be 2 years in August.
Oh, nice. Now. Still a little new, I guess, relatively speaking.
Very fresh.
Right. New Hampshire life. Much different from the Midwest. I don't know. What's New Hampshire like?
Yeah, I like it up here a lot. I mean, I do a ton of hiking and outdoor activities and stuff. So that was kind of one of my reasonings for also applying to jobs that are in like Montana and just places out in the middle of nowhere with not really high density populations.
We're so different. I'm so not the hiking. I'm like just not outdoorsy. I'm just like, keep me inside, keep me in a city, away from everybody, or away from all these trees. You know, the idea of walking around and just looking out and being like, there's so much nature. Like that thought is like scary to me. And I feel like I watch nature documentaries now, just being like, this is insane. I'm so afraid of the outdoors, and like it just seems so inconvenient to me always. Don't know how that happened. Yeah, weird. That's funny. Let's go backwards now. Do you remember any of our classmates from school? Because I'm going to throw some names at you in a second, and I'm curious to see how you feel. Yeah.
I like vaguely, I feel like the only time I ever remember anyone from there is if I'm looking at old photos. I'm like, oh yeah, I vaguely remember that person.
Yeah.
But like, you're kind of the only person I actually remember by name.
That's crazy. Well, how did you find me, by the way? I don't think we ever cleared that up. That was wild, because I remember I got your last name wrong for the longest time, and I was like, I don't know if this person exists, and I was like, yeah, whatever, you know. But then you I think you followed me, or I followed, I don't know, but it was just like, how did this person find me? It was crazy. Yeah.
I think it was like something about my mom was sitting on Instagram or Facebook or something, and we're just going through all these like random rabbit holes of stuff, and she texted me and she's like, did you go to school with an Art Kai?
What?
And I'm like, yeah.
Your mom remembers me? That's so wild. That's so funny.
So you sent me your Instagram profile. I'm like, oh yeah, that's totally
so crazy. Well, speaking of, do you remember a Haley Allen, perchance? She was a brunette girl. It's okay if you don't. I don't think they listen. So, or Caitlin Taylor. She was blonde, perchance? No, that's okay.
Do you strike out basically all these?
Yeah, that's okay. It's funny because we were very close to these two girls, and we quote unquote dated them in kindergarten. I don't know if you remember that at all, but they were like our girlfriends, and it was just like us four for like the longest time, which I think is hilarious because I did eventually like have a actual crush on Haley, like in like middle school, like an actual like real person crush, and she was just like not interested in me, and I was like, dude, we were like in a quadruple couple like back in the day.
We have this history.
Yeah, we have history. What the heck happened? But yeah, I remember that very fondly in a weird, like, I can't believe we did that. Just like this concept of like dating as like a kindergartner, like just had no idea how that happened. That is so funny that your mom.
Oh no, I definitely have memories of kind of this dating component of it. I can't remember if this was at the kindergarten or preschool that we were going to, but I remember there was like some kind of small house structure or something, like a little play fort thing, and we were just all pretending to like live in a house, and so like there's a husband and stuff, and there's a little TV and fake TV in there, and I thought we were sitting there, and the way that I recall it is we were watching the news, and there's a tornado coming in, and so we were all preparing for this tornado to like rip the house down and hunkering underneath like plastic furniture or something. And that's the only thing I remember with being in a relationship in preschool.
Your first taste of what a real relationship's like, just hiding when the tornadoes are coming. That feels very Kansas, Nebraska. I mean, any tornado drill is gonna happen, you know, like that. And it's weird that we're like ingrained with that like sort of dating idea at such a young age. It's like we have to date regardless. Like, where did we get that idea? That's insane, right? I think about that and I'm like, why did we do that? We could just been kids and not think about it.
Yeah, definitely.
That's so funny. Would you ever go back to Nebraska? Do your parents like Nebraska? Like, do you ever talk about them about that time?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we liked it in Omaha. All right. We had a handful of other kind of family friends that lived in the we lived on a cul-de-sac. I don't remember if you ever actually came over to our house, but so like, we were living on a cul-de-sac, and there were a handful of neighbors that were kids kind of around our age and a little older. So I remember being friends and like running around there for a period of time, but other than that, I don't really remember much of Nebraska.
That's okay. Look, I'll tell you right now, probably not too different from Kansas City. All right, it's probably not that weird. It's probably very normal, I think, as a place can be. That's so funny. So you're telling me your parents don't even bring up the idea that Omaha, Nebraska was their favorite place ever? They never even say that? They don't even mention that to you? There's no inkling? There's no...
I remember the last time we talked about Nebraska.
Damn it. Come on. No, that's fair. I just like to bring it up all the time because it's like, it's weirdly, I think when you live in the East Coast, especially New York, I don't know if you ever bring it up and people are like, they're like amazed that, you know, there's a Nebraskan that got out of Nebraska. They're just like, that's insane. It's sort of like a weird personality trait at this point where I'm just like, yeah, I'm Nebraskan. A point of pride, I guess you could say. But no, there's nothing. You're right. You're right to not feel anything about Nebraska besides perhaps friendships. Do you remember the school name at all? I'm just curious about what you do remember.
No, I think I might have like mentioned it to you in in one of those messages. I thought it was called mustard seed, and you corrected me, and you're like, "What the heck, mustard seed?" Like,
mustard seed. It's a Grace Abbott Elementary.
Oh right, yeah.
Do you remember the alligators? I'm just trying to like see where we are in terms of your memory. If nothing, this is just all good refreshers to have. The alligators, the principal, he would come on the intercom and be like, when it's raining, he'd always say, "It's a rainy day in Nebraska." Do you remember that at all?
No, I can't say I do.
Eric, you've repressed all these memories. Were they that bad?
Yeah, I know. It's
like, don't even care. Yeah. Well, thank God for your mother, that she found me, and here we are, just reminiscing. Mainly just me reminiscing. You'd be like, "Oh, that happened? I had no idea," which is funny. Yeah, man. Did you ever come down to New York City?
I've actually never been to the East Coast before I moved here from Kansas City.
Wow, nice.
So I just kind of like saw this opportunity and like, oh man, it seems like it'd be cool up in that area. And
Hell yeah.
like a few hour drive away from New York City, a few hour drive from a couple from Boston and all these other places. I'm like, yeah, it seems like it'd be cool to be up in that area. But I haven't been to New York City yet.
Yeah, you should definitely come through. I'd love to show you around. Yeah. Show you my life. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Are you curious about anything in my life? What's on your mind? What do you want to ask me? I'm an open book. Only for right now though. And then we'll never talk ever again.
I have zero idea about what happened to you besides knowing you in kindergarten and seeing like a handful of your stand-ups on Instagram and stuff. Yeah. So I imagine you like grew up in Omaha for the most part, and then did you go to university in Nebraska?
So much to teach you, so much to let you know what's going on in my life. No, I went to high school in Nebraska. All through high school, I was in Nebraska and Omaha. I eventually went to school in New Orleans at Tulane. Again, the listeners of the pod will know I try to bring that up as many times as I can. Again, as sort of a weird, it's like just weird enough that people are like, why is he so proud of this random school? So I went to school at Tulane. And then I went back home for a little bit, like half a year or so. And I worked at my mom's restaurant for a while, trying to like figure out what I'm doing in my life. And then I eventually got into grad school, and I went to grad school at NYU, sort of developed an interest in comedy in college. And I was like, oh, New York City has a pretty good comedy scene. I guess I'll like go check it out and see what happens. And I eventually moved here and started dabbling more and more into comedy, and sort of doing engineering on the side. And I actually really wanted to do like design-based engineering for the longest time. And I actually did I was like making fun of Nebraska for not having any architecture and design classes, but I actually did some design architecture in high school. And so I was sort of like thinking about being an architect for the longest time. I learned like Revit, and I in grad school, I got really into SolidWorks, and I had an internship, OXO, the kitchen supply company. So I was an intern there for a while and really loved sort of like the design work. My internship ended. They didn't hire me back. But I also was a pretty bad intern, to be fair. Because I think at that point I was very into like trying to do comedy a lot. And so I was just like kind of neglecting my actual duties as like an employee. And now I work for this quote unquote smart radio company. And those like radios you see in like movies that are like really big, like thick brick radios, like soldiers have them, like cops have them, firefighters have them. That's like what I work with now. And I do mainly like quality testing, assembly testing, with these products. And I'm kind of just focusing on this comedy career, even though I do have an affinity towards the design world as well, which I think is funny that we both ended up like kind of having this interest in design. And I want to talk to your dad about Danish furniture and design, because I am moving in about a month, and we're just like, me and my girlfriend are trying to figure out like how to like aesthetically design our apartment. And I'm just like, God, it'd be so cool to talk to like a furniture designer and just be like, what else should we do with this space? What else has been going on in my life? Yeah, I live in New York City now. I've been here since 2016. NYU engineering school is where I went. That place kind of sucked. I attribute learning very little from there. And I think that's part of the reason why I'm like, I should probably do more comedy, because I can't really use my actual skills to do anything. And so, yeah, that's my life. I'm trying to think of what else. I had a moment where I thought about moving back to Thailand, where my mom's from. And I lived there for a summer and realized I can't do it. There's no way. It's so lonely. I mean, you lived in Paris for a year, right? But that's a little different, I feel like. Did you know French pretty well?
No, I knew zero French. We like didn't even pretend to try to learn French before going over there.
Right. It's
And then
tough. It's tough to be in a place. What's up?
Yeah. Yeah, I had a bunch of roommates. I mean, it was part of a program that had
Sure.
10 people out of the school that actually went there.
Yeah. See, you're lucky.
So,
I moved there alone, and just like my family was there, and I'm just like, I have no friends here. And I can't connect with anybody because I don't speak the language. But yeah, that's sort of, I guess, my life. It's weird to like summarize a life in a nutshell, right? I'm just now realizing that. Like, what have I been up to? Those are the things.
Milestones. But I mean, I guess like, so you were down in New Orleans. Was that for like 4 or 5 years then?
4 years, yeah. New Orleans. Have you been to New Orleans?
No, I haven't. Yeah, it looks really cool though. I have a couple friends that live down there.
Nice. Yeah, you should definitely go. It's sweet. Like if we're talking design, because we both share that feeling, that interest. It's a beautiful city. It's like so weird. It's like French inspired, but also like Creole inspired, and like the urban like layout makes like no sense, but it's like based on like a river. And it's just like terribly designed, but it's like got character because of it. I recommend going. I think you'd like it a lot. It's also, you drink a lot if you're into that. And it's a big party city.
The guy down there, he's down there basically for the party culture.
Yeah.
He like found a job that was down the area, and he's like, oh yeah, I could just go down there and like live in New Orleans and just drink all the time and go out. And
it's so ingrained. I mean, they call it the Big Easy because it's so quote unquote easy, because it's like it's the party culture is so ingrained in everyday life that for example, construction famously never gets done because people just don't work. They just like will work for an hour a day and then just spend the rest of the day just like hanging out and drinking and chilling. So like infrastructure is just terrible there. Like it built along the river is like a bad idea because it floods all the time. It's below sea level, and it's just all this. It's all kind of built upon this idea of like, let's just do whatever seems cool and fun, and like let's build along a river that always floods because the river's cool. It's a great place. I recommend going.
Yeah, laissez-faire attitude. Yeah, it almost sounds like France to a certain degree, just based off of having protests, drinking for 2 hours during the day. Like we would go out to lunch or something.
Yeah.
Just pick up like sandwich and a bottle of wine and go sit at a park and literally just spend 2 hours
all day.
sitting there drinking and like napping, and then go back to work for an hour and leave.
Yeah,
So
that is laissez-faire attitude is very real and very French inspired. I never really thought about that, but yeah, you're right. I think it's just like that plus it's very Haitian inspired too, and so it's just like a lot of fun parties that is very, I think, Haitian. Yeah, it's a great place. I recommend it. So I live there. I live in New York City. Any questions about these sort of milestones in my life? I have this podcast.
You must have moved there by yourself then too, right? Or were you with your girlfriend that you have now?
No, yeah. So I moved on a whim by myself. And I met my girlfriend in like 2018. So I was like here just kind of like figuring out my life. And it was it's kind of tough. I don't know. I feel like people who don't, to bring it back to Nebraska, a lot of my friends from high school don't make it out of Nebraska. They kind of just stay there. And it's like a very strange, I don't know, you probably have similar situations with friends from Kansas, Kansas City. Yeah. It's just like a lot of them just like kind of stay, and it's very comfortable. I get it. I feel for them. But it's funny going back there and being like, yeah, I live in New York City now. Like talking to them, they're like, whoa, they're like surprised. It's like, how did you do that? It's like, you just move, which is interesting. Yeah. Yeah, but it seems like you have a lot of friends who are just all over the country, right?
Yeah, I have a handful of, especially like the friends I made in college and stuff like that. I wasn't really like super ingrained in the university culture, so I didn't particularly care about the college I went to, or like going to like sports events or doing anything that had anything to do with KU. And
that's why people go to KU. It's like the reason.
I know people are like super gung ho about it, and I get all these like alumni emails nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
Homecoming. Yeah. Yeah.
Participating in this.
Yeah.
I did have a handful of professors that were just like really interesting and caused me to kind of think and act a certain way. But for the most part, I was just kind of a townie in Lawrence. And so I was just like working at a restaurant downtown for the whole time I was there, and just like really in the kind of restaurant culture when I was living there.
Damn.
So I met a bunch of different interesting people that move into like Oregon or Michigan or like Boston and all these kind of places. And so it's nice definitely having like people scattered about that you can ask and talk to and randomly run into if you're traveling around. But
it's nice like hearing these like parallels of like someone that I consider very close of a friend, even though we were just kids, and we have very similar, I think, outcomes in a way, and just like not being very into like the idea of like staying and like caring about KU or Nebraska, I guess, and just like having these friends who are, my friends are pretty scattered around. And I think even though I was sort of, I guess, involved in my school's stuff, not like to the degree of like, it's not a state school, you know, like you can't, it's not to that degree. And I kind of knew that I was going to like leave Nebraska eventually. I feel like you probably had a similar inkling of like, I'm probably going to leave Kansas. Yeah. Good decision to leave. You feeling good about it?
Yeah, I feel good about it. I've gone back over the Christmas break for the past 2 years and have been able to work remotely and like be back for about a month and a half or something. So it's nice being able to catch up with a bunch of friends and my family and everything. And I definitely liked like downtown Kansas City. There's just a really big arts culture that's there the whole time. And
apparently it's a cool city.
So I had a bunch of, it's a lot of fun and like cool jazz scenes to go to and jazz clubs to visit and just kind of quirky art for the most part. And I guess like one of the things that has just always been stuck in my mind is being I'm kind of like fearful of complacency to a certain degree. And the second I start feeling like, oh yeah, I like feel pretty comfortable, I know my way around, I know how to do all these types of things, I don't like just wallowing in that feeling or just being okay with it. And so that's when I'm like, okay, I need to find another opportunity or find something just to shake it up and
I'm very similar.
Expand kind of the way I'm thinking about things. And so the second I kind of sit around and recognize that I'm falling into some type of habitual pattern, like, okay, I need to get away from this scenario.
It's funny that you say that, because I think my first bunch of therapy sessions were just about this idea of complacency, just like this feeling of like, why am I so against this idea? Why am I like, I think about it all the time, and like I feel like Nebraska, like staying there would have been like so complacent of me, and I just look at my friends, and they seem just so like chill, but it's just like, what are they doing with their lives? It's like this weird parallels that we have, even despite not talking for 20 plus years, I would say, which is crazy in my opinion. Yeah, that's funny.
I wonder how much of it has anything to do with like, because you said your mom's from Thailand. Is your dad also?
My dad's from China, actually.
Oh, from China.
Yeah. Okay. So China and Thailand. Are your parents?
Both moved?
What's up?
Oh, they both moved directly from there. Like they're both first.
Yeah, for sure.
Generation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
cool.
Yeah, they met actually in Kansas at a little school called Emporia. I don't know if you heard of that.
Oh,
School. Yeah, they met in Emporia. And my dad got a job in Omaha, and we ended up there, and the rest is history. And my mom opened a restaurant. I don't know if ever, maybe you guys have, I doubt you guys have been, but
I can't remember.
Probably not. I mean, ask your parents if they had ever gone to Thai Spice, because it was around when we were around. So ask them if you want. No pressure.
Thai Spice, yeah.
Thai Spice, yeah. But your mom is she from Denmark as well?
No, my dad moved here from Denmark, and they met each other in Denver, in Colorado. And nice. My mom, she grew up in the Upper Peninsula in Michigan.
Nice, beautiful place. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
it's
cold.
great up there.
Yeah.
It's no one that lives up there. The population of the town she lived in when she was growing up is this small town, Chatham.
Okay.
And I think it was maybe 100 something permanent residents that are in the town. But her grandparents, so my great grandparents are on my mom's side, are from Finland.
Okay.
So they moved there. So she kind of had quite a bit of Finnish heritage and culture.
Right.
Her family when she was growing up.
Yeah.
And so they both, I guess, like, yeah, part of the way that I'm thinking about complacency and also being afraid of it, and you mentioning a similar thing, is now that I've like lived on my own and have been able to reflect on things a little bit more, I look at my parents and how they met each other and how they like have lived their lives, and I'm like, oh my God, like they just did a bunch of crazy, like my dad moving all the way to the middle of the United States from Denmark when there's like no internet, no phones, nothing for him to like come into contact with his family again, or like have the ability to do that. And I've never thought about it when I was a kid about how kind of spontaneous or adventurous that actually was. Like I always kind of viewed them as just parents growing up, but now that I'm able to sit here and look at it, I'm like, oh my God, they're way more adventurous than I anticipated them being growing up. And it's definitely kind of put an impression on me of how I care to interact with people and interact with new places, and just trying to expand like your horizons a little bit. And so I feel like that for sure after reflection has just been something that I've noticed, that I love asking them questions about what they were doing at that period of time too, because they will like all these stupid stories of like driving across the Rocky Mountains at 2:00 in the morning in like some VW bug with like no one to help and all these kind of things. I'm like, oh man, I have so many similar parallels just from traveling around and trying to like figure things out on my own, that have caused me to just have a lot more respect and appreciation for the way how they actually got to this point. So I think about that fairly often. And especially living somewhere brand new and moving somewhere by yourself just kind of causes you to sit there. And I remember being in Paris for a period of time, and even though I had 4 roommates that I was living with, we didn't really mesh with the same kind of ideals and things that we cared to go and do. And so I would get back from work and come into the apartment building and see everyone sitting there like watching videos on their laptop and stuff. Like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, let's go do something.
Wandering around. Like,
so funny.
Go out and just, like see what's outside. And so I would always just like come back home, put on a backpack, and just like start walking around and meandering.
I think having. What's up?
Oh, go ahead. Oh no, go ahead.
I was just say I think having these parents that clearly made big changes in their lives, left impressions on us in a weird way, in a very like open-minded way. Like just go do things, like go move across the country, do something big, which is nice. And again, weird parallels for you and me. Like how do we are weirdly here. Who'd have thunk that your parents meeting in Denver and my parents meeting in Emporia, Kansas will lead us to this podcast. I would have never thought of it. Kind of wild if you ask me. So are you dating? Have you found love? What's the status? Are you going to disclose that on a podcast? You don't have to. I'm just curious. You're talking about your parents a lot. I'm like, I wonder if he's dating.
I'm an open book. No, I'm not dating anyone currently.
Cool. Ladies or guys? Single.
Yeah, ladies. I haven't been in like a serious relationship in a couple years now. Okay. Especially since moving here. I mean, like moving also during the middle of the pandemic. So when I was in the height of it, I like moved up here and I didn't even know the place that I was moving into beforehand. Like the landlord just FaceTimed me and like walked me around the apartment.
Yes.
And so that was my
that looks good. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I don't really take a
I'm in.
good inspection of this, but yeah, let's do it. And so I ended up like moving up here, and then I was working remotely or still working from home during that period of time. A bunch of stuff was close up here, and so made a couple of friends with a neighbor of mine and stuff like that, and have been able to just do a lot of hiking and kind of wandering about up here. But
you love wandering.
no, yeah, not in any serious relationship at all. But
which is fine. You're doing your thing. It's not like you're trying to rush anything. You're just, I think it's cool hearing how I think comfortable you are with what you're doing, and just like open-minded, and just you're doing it and just having fun, which I think is so cool.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I kind of just view it personally as like, especially the aspect of trying to get something or trying for like a specific outcome to come to fruition. I'm more just like kind of going through my routines, and like, especially the second I am willing to like drive to a new city just to see what's there, and having serendipity be part of the way that I grow. I just like would much prefer for serendipitous interactions to affect me rather than trying to like specifically seek out this one thing that I think is going to change me in this way.
Sure.
Just kind of like a futile effort for the most part.
Yeah. That sounds pretty like a pretty healthy way of going through life, just have your expectations sort of managed in like small doses rather than just like looking for that one big thing. Which is cool. Yeah.
I almost wonder if, because I also just like don't have necessarily positive expectations of things in general. And so I like,
boy, the darkness is here.
I consider myself to be like an optimist for the most part, but like thinking about what kind of expectation or what my expectations are, I almost always have negative expectations with the kind of goal of trying to trick myself to just always be pleasantly surprised by scenarios. So I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I didn't expect anything good to happen, but it was actually okay.
Nothing bad.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
I think managing expectations is an important thing in life. I've had like many arguments about like how much should we go into everything expecting the worst, because then we'll be pleasantly surprised. But I think it's nice to like have like reasonable expectations too, of just being like, oh no, life is like, it's working out the way I expected. That's sort of got its own special, I think, flair in a way. God, I wish my co-hosts were here because they would disagree with me so hard. They're less optimistic than I am. They're more into the idea of like, look, if everything's gonna be disappointing, then everything's like sweet and awesome, because then it happens and like you thought it was gonna be worse, but it's not. But anyway, I think what you're doing is healthy and normal, is what I'm trying to say. Despite my co-hosts, who probably will listen to this eventually, and they'll be pissed that they weren't able to hop on. So you can't defend yourself, guys. I'm sorry. Good luck with this. But anyway, proud to hear that you're doing great. It really does like warm my heart to know that you're living your life. I'm glad you're alive, you could have died. Who knows? Right.
Totally.
Yeah. Next time you talk to your mom, tell her thanks for connecting us in a way. Pretty cool that this has happened. Social media, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's the best thing that's ever happened to us. It's not. I don't feel that way.
Yeah. Social media to me just almost even seems like just global growing pains to a certain degree. Where we're just like we're all of a sudden aware of all these different mindsets from all over the world, and oh my God, how are we gonna like equalize these things or come to any equilibrium?
Right.
And so we're just like constantly sitting here just growing pains is an analogy that I've thought about for a little while, of just the way that like, especially the way that a lot of media interacts with each other. It was funny when you were asking if I listen to podcasts. I imagine people our age almost exclusively listen to podcasts. It's like, I don't know where else I get my information from. There's a neighbor of mine that I like see from my window, and they have their windows open the whole time, and so I can see inside their living room and like see their TV on.
Yeah.
And their TV is on 24/7 to all these different news programs. And I'm like, how are you?
What are you
living
doing?
like this?
Yeah, you're burning your brain.
Yourself with all this kind of negative, kind of clickbaity type of cable news.
Right.
It drives me crazy to like see that people are kind of stuck in that specific mindset rather than having a specific type of podcast or like a slew of podcasts or something that you just use to get all these different viewpoints and try to kind of piece together your viewpoint rather than just getting it told to you by someone.
Yeah. And it feels more like real. I feel like podcasts are good. Like, we're having, like, for example, this one, just a conversation. You're listening to a conversation. It's not like sensationalized. I mean, some are obviously, but it's not like, I think most podcasts try to be at least more, they feel more real in a way. I
didn't hear your intro, so you could sensationalizing it.
Yeah. No, this podcast is just spewing fake news all the time. This podcast is a terrible podcast. All the listeners know. Again, our main base is ICE, the immigration people. Anyway, again, very proud of you. If you're ever in New York, we're wrapping up. I don't know if you realize that's what I'm doing right now, Eric. All right. We're gonna get you out of here as fast as I can. Any other thoughts before we actually officially wrapped up? I feel like we covered pretty good ground. This has been nice. Again, a warm feeling in my heart.
Yeah, same. Just look forward to catching up again here soon. And I'm sure you have stories of all the places you've lived in and interactions you've had. So I'm sure there are many interesting things to talk about.
Whole other podcast, dude. We have a lot to get through. Anyway, we got through this one. I understand that you repressed all your memories from Nebraska. I can relate. You hate the place, you hate me, and you hate Haley, and you hate Caitlin. Who
you could
probably honestly, they probably don't remember. I know Haley remembers me. I don't know if Caitlin remembers any of us. So.
She remembers the rejection. She's like, that's the first.
Right. I'll hit them up and see how they're doing for this pod. No, they don't deserve to be on this podcast. All right. It also would be weird. I haven't talked to him in years. And but anyway, it was nice talking to you. Do you want to plug anything? You don't have to. You know, you're not a comedian. I talk to mainly comedians. They always try to plug something.
No, I don't need to plug anything. You can if you're curious, and otherwise, I'll go about my life. Everyone else can go about theirs.
Leave me alone. I can do what I want. All right, last thing before we head out. This is something I ask again. Co-hosts aren't here. All of my guests. It's a little palate cleanser for the episode. Eric, can you please describe your perfect day? We're talking 24 hours. You can do whatever you want. The only constraint is 24 hours. So think about it wisely. What are you eating? Who are you seeing? What are you doing? You like hiking? Are you going to incorporate that? Let me know what you think.
I don't know how detailed you want me to get. If you want me to give you like 15-minute increments or
it's truly whatever you're feeling. People have tried. Here's what I've noticed. People have tried to do like a minute by minute basis, and then they get bored by it at like noon. And they're like, all right, you know what? The rest of the day, I'm just going to like blah, 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 you know? So up to you. Up to you.
A fun day that I could imagine just like doing on a weekend or something, just waking up, making a giant thermos of coffee and hopping in my car and just driving to some random town that I haven't been to and going to grab a sandwich for lunch and see what's there and driving back. That sounds pretty fun.
It's a beautiful day. You're a nomad, dude. You love exploring. You love exploring this vast wilderness we call America. And I love that. Drive down to New York City. Do you know how long it takes to drive to New York City? Per chance?
Yeah, it's only like 3.5 hours or something. Yeah, it's not bad at all.
That's a weekend trip. You're in and out.
Oh, totally.
Let me know if you're ever down here. We'd love to chat more, show you the city. Amazing, perfect day. Any other thoughts before we completely shut this off? Forever. Never talk.
No, there's nothing else that I can without going to a tangent. So
I love it. Good catching up with you. guys, if you're listening, thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Goodbye. All right, that was the conversation with Erik Stockler. For the longest time, I thought his name was Erik Stockler, so I didn't bring that up, and I think that would have ruined the whole conversation. But I'm glad I didn't bring that up, because realizing, talking to him, it's always like interesting being like, oh, we don't know each other as well as we had expected. I mean, it makes sense, right? Because, you know, we were just like, what, 5 years old? What a fun episode. Doing this outro alone, because that's how life treats me. I think life is punishing me in a way. I miss my pals. I love my friends. Even my close friends that I knew in elementary school. And I felt like I was a little much at the beginning. I was being a bit much, I guess you could say. Where I was like, yo, you are weirdly still a huge part of my psyche with the therapy thing and the security questions. But you seem to take it all right. And I feel like I don't do it in a weird way. I'm a weird guy, though. I am a creep. I'm a weirdo, all right? But with him, I think it was very much like, what happened to this dude? And you know what? Nothing happened to him. I think that's the sort of realization, which is kind of nice. Anyway, I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling. These intro, outro, mono recordings are always so strange. What am I doing? I'm just sitting here in front of a computer. I'm watching my little volume gauge just move as I talk. Here I am, thinking about Erik. Great combo. Erik, if you're listening to this, great combo. Hit me up again. Let's get you back on the pod. Let's do a whole series about this. All right. Let's start a new pod. Probably not gonna happen. Yeah, a lot of fun parallels. I think it was a good time. I gotta go start my day. Gotta go take a piss and shit. You know how it goes. Thanks for listening. I need new co-hosts. You know, I can't be doing this by myself. I can't. I'm spiraling. All right. Again, thank you guys for listening. Catch you guys on the next one.